Hey, I'm Naya, welcome back to the channel. So one thing first, my giveaway for 500 subscribers is still going on. So if you want to check it out, you can check out my previous video and enter the giveaway that way. So with this video, we're going to be doing something similar to my best decks video, which also check that out as well if you want. But the similarity is going to be that I prepared sample deck lists, but today it's for Flanderies, Live Twins, and Swordsoul. Now I understand Live Twins, obviously they're out, but they do get support, so I put them in this video as well because I want to discuss them. And it's gonna be, like I said, similar. We're just gonna go through like basic deck lists that I put together with different texts you could also use, talk about it, and yeah, that's pretty much it. Alright, so the first deck we're gonna be discussing is gonna be Swordsoul. Now, to be perfectly honest, I am not that excited about Swordsoul. I don't know why. Like, for example, I'm more excited about Flanderies, and I feel like Flanderies are going to be considerably worse than Swordsoul, but I don't know, I cannot really get on board with them. Maybe I'll feel different in the future, but for the time being, I put together this deck list through, I was looking at OCG deck lists, I was just everything I could find about the deck, everything I know about the deck and how I feel like it could be played, I put together. But obviously this has not been like tested out for, I don't know, weeks. So it's here, it's just an example, because those videos, like these videos of mine, I don't want to be like, that's what you need to play. I just want to put together things that I feel like work, that have been tested out, but are still open to discussion, if that makes sense. That's why I put all of those texts here. That's why I, put a bunch of things in the extra deck like I did with Virtual World in the previous video. I just put everything I could find over here so you all can decide what you want to do. So yes, starting with the main deck. So this is the ratio of the monsters. I feel like this is quite standard. Now this is, these two I've seen being discussed at if they should be run at 2 or maybe this guy at 1, which I feel like, why would you do that when it's fine at 2? Like it gets the combo going with appears and like it's okay, but probably shouldn't be run at 3. So yeah, like I said, the ratio is quite standard. And then I put in the Fusion Destiny package because I think a Phoenix Enforcer is going to work just wonders with this deck, because why not put it in? Legit, you have all of these synchros and then randomly you can just drop Fusion Destiny and just play like this, because why not? You have the space, you have everything, and yeah, I think this is going to work really well. And then the Vishuda is here because it's probably the best Tenye with the Grave effect, being able to bounce a card. And then obviously that's why we have the Monk in the extra deck. And then the ratio for their spells. So I put this spell in as well, because overall I feel like in Archetype, Reborns are good. For example, when you have like, what's that called? Adamantia Signs, I think it is, when you like revive things. And then everything that just gets you extra cards and gets you extenders, I think it's fine. I think it should be put in the decks, in the archetypes, but like maybe at 1, because it's not that busted, Prosperity, because you definitely have the space in the extra deck to do this, to play some things at 2 or maybe banish something that you might not need, and then just dig through your deck, because probably this is better than Desires, since overall in decks like these where I feel like you really want to dig for your starters or extenders or just power cards, you want to play Prosperity to be able to actually go through and choose what you want, in tandem with the hand that you open, because Desires with the draws, sometimes it's way too random. And also the main reason, obviously, because you're running the Fusion Destiny package, so you do not want to banish your bricks. Alright, now as for Crossout, and this is sort of like a side tangent I'm about to go on. I think Crossout should be run at this point in time in decks that maybe struggle a bit on their own. So right now I will put Crossout in, for example, Prank Kids that just cannot do it by themselves, unfortunately, because of the ban list, obviously. But yeah, I would just put it in like maybe in Live Twin and also in Flanderies, since this video is about all of these decks that just sometimes need that extra push, and like they truly want their combo to go off, because they would just pass if it doesn't go off. Whereas you have decks like, I don't know, Dragon Link that just goes without, like, they do not care about hand traps. Maybe putting cross out by all means, but I think at this point in time it just should be run in, not in every single deck, but maybe in decks that could you like really use the help, all of the help they can get, if that makes sense. So that's why I have this ratio of hand traps. It's just kind of random. It's here, you know, it's interchangeable. Like, hand traps overall are going to become more and more interchangeable, you know, amongst themselves in the decks because of crossout. So just use whatever you feel like is necessary, because sometimes you can go for a combo that does play into Nibiru. So just have a Nibiru ready, you know, have Veilers and Ash. Also because obviously Tri-Brigade is like running wild, so might as well. With Veiler and Imperm, I mean, and Imperm doesn't play into talents, which is always welcome. And then the trap at 2, I've seen it played at 3, which I feel like is a bit too much, but that's, I guess, it's just personal preference. And then as for the extra deck, I think it's quite standard with which synchros I chose to put in. So this is obviously Phoenix Enforcer, and then we have Dragite. We have Floor. I put in 2 because why not? Because at this point I did not put in the Zeus package yet, and then Baxia and these 2 obviously, Crimson Blader is still, Berserker, Ruddy Rose, and then the Scarlight, Shen, and these 2 obviously. Alright, as for the side part, so obviously all of the text that are here in the side slot on DB, I put in a Tiny, just a random Tiny, to just say this: by all means build the Tiny version and test it, but I don't have it built, and the main reason for that is because I feel like the build I just showcased to you is better, and also I just like running decks as pure as I can, but that's personal preference. For example, Tri-Brigade, I don't like to run it with Lyrilusk. I ran it with Zodiac, but I didn't play it with Lyrilusk, because overall I feel like decks should be run as pure as they can be, with just hand traps, and then obviously the Fusion Destiny package is just busted. I don't feel like this is, you know, straying off of the pure build in any way, shape, or form, because it's so good. But overall, yeah, I just like to run decks that way. But like I said, this is completely personal preference. Make it, test it, and let me know how it does, because I honestly want to know, but I have not tested it yet, and that's why I didn't feel comfortable like putting something random here. So here's a random Tiny, I guess, to let you know that you can play this version as well. And then this package, so I didn't put it in because, for example, this is like a weird example, but like I used to have Zeus in prank kits to be like, oh, with talents I can just take something, make a Zeus, or in the weirdest scenario possible I can make it over Toad for some reason. I might need that. But like, I've come to realize that these situations are so rare that sometimes cards, even if they're good, are not worth running, just for the reason, oh, you know, it's a situation that can come up every 300 times, like 300 times you do. Like, it's not, yeah, that's the reason why I don't have it here in the extra deck, but I did put it in, so you can test it if you want. Alright, as for this package, I could draw a comparison, for example, with Drytron. So I used to have like Instant Fusion in Drytron to go into Millennium Eyes to be able to dodge Droll, to negate it. Right now, well, I don't play Drytron anymore, that's one thing, but the other one is, I feel like sometimes cards, especially if they're at 1 and they don't come up as often, are just not worth running. It's very similar to the Baguska and Zeus example. You know, it's good, this is a tuner, like it gets you to a synchro immediately, but like doesn't come up that often, and it's just not worth the space sometimes when you can put in better cards. That's just my overall theory on these types of things. But yeah, I think this is pretty much it for Swordsoul. Alright, the next deck we're gonna go over is Life Twin. Now I'm super excited for Life Twin, 2 reasons. Yes, 2 reasons. One of them, it reminds me of Prank It a lot, with just, you know, the normal summon that gets you going into everything you want to do. I think I'm like truly, I'm very excited about the deck. And then the second reason, because the artworks are just perfect. They are, I feel like this, I have never seen anything like this in Yu-Gi-Oh! And I think it's beautiful. I think they're so pretty and so like look at that. Like look at her. This card is probably my fave one. Like look at her artwork. It's amazing. Honestly, it's incredible. Now as for the build, like I said before, I like to run decks like this, and this is why also I organized everything on Dueling Book like this, so you can see like the engine, so the monsters, and then all of the spells that you need in Archetype, all of the hand traps, and then everything else that just goes in. So let's go over it. The ratio for monsters is quite basic, so you have these two as extender and then this one as extender. And right now we should talk about this monster as well. I put it here so we can discuss it. I think it's so interesting, but way too costly. So tributing 2 link monsters, like at that point, whoa, okay. Like at that point, you can just go into the link 4 or just go into something else and, you know, further make your plays or build your board or do whatever you want. But this is just, it's a good effect, but it's, like I said, too costly to, I think, be worth running, but could be changed for sure, you know, tested and see what you want. Now, as for the spells, I put this at 1. Similarly to the Reborn in Swordsoul, I was talking about this card, so the Life Twin Home is also an extender, but if you want to like use it immediately, something you could do, it will hurt if it gets ashed because of the discard. And this is what I wanted to say is, if you, for example, get hand trapped and then at that point you use this, you're already like down in resources because you have wasted some cards to be able to start your turn. And then if you get disrupted and have to use this, you still have to discard, and it's like, and you're locked into evil twins at that point. And I think it's worth running at 1, but not at anything more than 1 right now, because it's not it doesn't do enough, I think. Now you have the Sunny Snitch, which is it didn't drop together with the rest of the archetypes, so it's a newer card, which is very good because it searches a monster, whereas before you can do that with Secret Password. So this card is busted. And then I think that's it about just one trap. And then as for the hand traps, they're also random because of crossout. And as you can see, this build is just running 3 off of everything. And yeah, this looks like it's not really budget friendly, which obviously it's not. Things can be changed for like Forbidden Chalice or whatever, just decks you want to run. But I put this in because, you know, we are discussing optimized builds. So here's that. Crossout, like I said before, it needs it, and then you just put in everything. You put in Ibirus, Bells, you put in a Veiler, just put in everything you can, because at the end of the day, if you have, this is also one of my theories, which I keep discussing random theories of mine in this video, but I think I'm all for like running more hand traps at less, like in ratio, than less hand traps and everything at 3. So this is just a side note. I like the fact that you run random 1-offs and 2-offs of things. Hand traps, I mean. A Droplet is insane. It's an incredible card. And also talents, like everything, you know, everybody is just going to throw everything at your normal summons. That's what they're gonna do. So talents is gonna be live most of the time. Desires, because you can use the extra draws, the consistency. You don't really care about what you banish, since you can get your engine going with like a card, and then at the end maybe go for a Desires, or before if you honestly like really need it. But you play almost everything at 3 anyways, so you don't really care. Then as for the extra deck, here is the Sky Cavalry package together with Downward and Zeus. And then I put all of these links at 3 because I have different texts here in the other slot I want to discuss. So if you want to consider moving something and playing it in the extra deck, just cut the links. I cut one of each if you want. So you can do that for sure. I just put everything at 3 on purpose to let you know, hey, here's the extra space. You can cut this to put something else and you might want to run. So this is the link for. This is the reason why this deck is getting even better. So if you still haven't like familiarized yourself with it, what it does is it basically, you end on almost the same combo. So, but you end on this link and then just choose what you want to do during your opponent's turn. So if you want to have a disruption, if you want to have additional draws, and then during your turn, this is a form of removal for your opponent's cards without targeting. And this is incredible because sometimes archetypes, I would say most of the time, archetypes just need to be able to deal with monsters, maybe non-targeting or sending things, or Chabrigate banishes. So it's good that this link is made, so it just sends a card non-targeting because it's much easier to deal with things. Because when you're playing a deck that's maybe not as busted as the tier, I don't know, 0.5 or like tier 1 decks, at one point it could become incredible. I think I see incredible potential in Life Twins. But overall, I think decks that maybe cannot go toe-to-toe with all of the other decks all the time, they need something. They need an extra, something, like a form of removal that they can run, and it's just in archetypes. So yeah, I think this link is awesome. I'm truly excited about this one. And then these three are here mainly because, well, they're good, but they're also Fiend. So you're locked not most of the time, but you can be locked because of the links. So why not just run something that's like generic overall, but a Fiend, and with the amount of bodies you can spam out, you can just run cross out Underworld Goddess, and then put IP in the extra as well to be able to make it with your opponent's monsters. So yeah, and then we have this part. So all of the other techs. Now I'm gonna talk about this first. Basically, if I build this deck right now, which obviously I have here, but like if I was to run it in real life, I would just play this. I would probably decide on this because I think it's awesome, but I didn't put it purposely in the extra deck just to let you know you don't need to play it. Like, you just play whatever you want, but I would probably play it because it's free IP. Like, that's all I gotta say. Like, it's free IP, and I would definitely put it in the extra deck. So just make, Disciple, and then Devotee, tribute it off, make tokens, make IP. It's pretty straightforward. And then Abomination, I don't have it in the extra deck because it used to be run, obviously, but at this point, I think if you have enough bodies, you're more than likely making the link 4 anyway, or going for like, Goddess or like an access code play. It's just, it's a nice card, but it's not as busted as some of the other options, so I don't think it's worth maining at this point. And then you have access code, because why not? You have a lot of body spam. You have the nightmares, which usually pair up with access code well. And yeah, just run it if you want. Like I said, I put a lot of things here that you can change with the other ones, like change out these ones for these ones and do whatever. So yeah, pretty much this is it for Life Twin. It's quite basic, it's quite straightforward, and yeah, if I can get my hands on all of these cards, I'm more than likely gonna play it because I'm really excited for it. Alright, so the next one and the last one is going to be Flanderies. Now, I should start this off by saying that I, at this point, don't have high hopes for Flanderies. So right now we can only look at the OCG, obviously, but if you look at the OCG, it kind of did flop, So Swordsoul is just running wild and going crazy and whatever, but Flanderies is not doing so well. I'm very excited about them anyway. Like, I'm legit very hyped for them, but I feel like they're a bit too fragile, and I guess only time and the winter ban list will tell if this deck actually will get popular. But at this point, I don't really have high hopes for it. I still want to discuss it though, because I might be completely wrong, because overall the deck seems great, but it's like when you compare it to everything else that's in the meta right now, is all I'm saying. So yeah, I guess we'll see. As for the basic combo, it's like we all probably know at this point. So it's Robina into Eaglin, into Empen, into the trap, and then again on the following turn, so to get into Ryzaus or something, or Avian. So like what this deck does is just normal summons a lot and gets to these guys over here, which are like the boss monsters that your opponent has got to deal with. You control him, and then on the following turn, you know, you have so many bodies, you have everything. So what you can do is attempt to OTK, control even more, chill with all of your hand traps. So yeah, it's this is like the gist of it. But basically, this is the ratio for monsters. So it's 3 of the little ones because they're the best ones. And then this ratio is 2 toucan and 1 ostrich. By the way, I say toucan because it's how we say in my language. I hope I'm not mispronouncing that, and even if I am, you all know what I'm talking about anyway. So toucan at 2, because I think with the field spell it's incredible. The field spell overall is busted. We're gonna talk about that later, but this is the ratio. And then for the boss monsters, I put 2 Empen, 1 barrier statues here, 1 Avian and 1 Ryza. So Ryza, I think it's almost non-negotiable. It does a lot. It spins, it bounces, it does everything. As for Avian, it feels bricky. Like still, I have it in the main deck, but I don't know if I really like it. Like I don't like cards that don't do anything on their own. Like Avian used to be bricky way back in Pendulum decks. So it's like this could be cut. This could be tested and cut or run, you know, going forward. But like, yeah, Avian I'm a bit iffy on, but it's here. As for barrier statues, so barrier statues obviously should be run in this deck, I think. And something else I wanted to mention is when you go like Robina effect, so Robina searches level 4 or lower winged beast, and then Eaglin searches level 7 or higher. So if you go Robina effect and you happen to hard draw Eaglin, for example, you can just search barrier statue and you don't need to normal summon immediately after that what you searched. So you can go ahead with your combo, normal summon Eaglin, do everything, and then at the end with Empen's effect, because Empen also grants you another normal summon, you can normal summon the wind statue for additional like floodgate type effect your opponent has got to deal with. So you don't gotta normal summon what you search. So just leave it until the very end and just summon it and chill on it. Basically, this is like the theory behind that. So yeah, so talking about Empen, so what Empen does is prevents your opponent's attack position special summon monsters from being able to activate their effects. And also in the damage step, halves the attack and defense of the opponent's monster, so it's hard to deal with. Like they cannot just get rid of it, basically. So you just chill on him and stun your opponent, basically. So that's why I have it at 2. And then what we should also talk about, obviously, down here is a Snowl. And no shade to the Snowl, but I don't think it's good enough to be considered running at this point in time. So it's like a UCT type of effect, but it only flips your opponent's special summon monsters. It can pierce. It's like, you know, it's fine, but I don't think it's worth the space if you can run cards that do more. So this is the theory behind Snowl. As for the spells and traps, like I said, the field spell is just busted. You reveal a level 1 Flanderies, banish a Flanderies card, normal summon it. So this is like an additional type of normal summon. You have not used your actual normal summon. So together with Toucan, this is just an extender. So you can go, for example, review Toucan, normal summon it, banish yourself something you might need, like a Robina or something, and Toucan, a normal summon, adds the cards back from the banish zone. So you can legit banish anything you might need, fetch it back. Or like if you already still have like a Robina or an Eaglin banished, and you go the map effect and the Toucan effect, you can like activate this to get back to hand because they float, and then get the other card, maybe like a trap or something you might need that you banished with the field spell, back with Toucan. So everything, you know, is connected to the banish zone, everything floats, everything works together, and the map is incredible. And that's why we also have a gold star here, because everything floats, like I said many times now. So yes, as for the continuous spell, here's the terraforming for the field spell. As for the continuous one, I think it's got an interesting effect, like being able to get rid of your opponent's cards quite easily for your tribute summon. I think that's busted, but I don't think since it doesn't do anything on its own, like I previously mentioned, I don't think it's worth running at more than one at this point. The trap card also, because Empen does search spells and traps, so you have access to everything through him, and you have access through him, through Eaglin, and through Robina you get to Eaglin. So you get the point. You have access to everything, and this is why you can run certain cards that maybe don't do everything on their own, just the one, because you can search it anyway. And then in tandem with this, we should talk about the Flanderies and the Scary Sea, so the other trap card. So basically it prevents your opponent's monster from being summoned, and then they cannot special summon, but they can normal summon 3 times. And I think I just didn't put it in the main deck at this point because I have not tested enough to be like, oh, this is the matchup I want to play this card against, because it feels way too situational to be run right now, but it's an option that you can put in if you want. Now we have all of the other cards. So we have a lot of pots. Like we have Extravagance over here because I didn't put it in the main deck. I feel like these two are superior and I wanted space for other cards, but you can for sure, like by all means, just run all of the pots at 3 because they don't conflict basically with anything. Like Duality, you're locked out of special summoning anyway. Prosperity just gets you to your cards. You want to dig for your cards. You honestly, you just want to see your starters. You want to be able to play, or your extendeds if you got disrupted. So Prosperity is busted. You have the space in the extra deck. Extravagance also, like it's an option, but right now I didn't put it in, but this could be changed. And then Macrocosmos, because it's Macrocosmos. We discussed Goldstark already. This is obviously called by. And then Crossout. Like I mentioned previously, I'm not gonna go over it once more. This is a deck that could really use Crossout's help. And we have Ash and Veiler, and then also, so this is like, you know, so Shifter is very situational. So you could consider cutting it for sure. I just put it in because it does seem like it works with this deck, but it's obviously not applicable at all times. And since if you were to cut this, you would have more space to put the pots in, or maybe other types of hand traps you wish to put in, because right now we only have 1, 2, 3, 4, like 5 regular ones, and then the shifters. But I think, yeah, if you face a matchup in which shifter is applicable, it does, you know, more than enough. So like it's something that should be also considered when you're looking at your meta that you're in currently, at your event, and everything else. So it's here, it's an option. Probably could be moved over here in the tech slot, and I could put something else in, but I didn't want to because I think it's good. So yes, that's pretty much it for the main deck. And now the extra deck is not just 15 random cards. Like you can actually summon these things, because your Flanderies monsters only lock you if you actually use their effect to search. So you're only locked if you use the effects. But what your deck actually does is you get to Empen, for example, and then you get to another monster on your opponent's turn. This is like the optimal board you want to make. You have so many bodies on board that, for example, if you go map together with Tukan, you have an additional body. But this is just random, like 500 attack, 700 attack. It's just there. It doesn't do anything. It for sure does no OTK. So if you can go on your turn and you still have all of these bodies just lying on the board, you can special summon if you want. So you can just go Zeus control, you know, because they are level 1s, like the little ones are level 1s, and we've seen this, so these are obviously familiar to us because of Drytrons. So you can just go into Zeus if you want, and then you have the rank 10 plays for Empen, for example, and then also this package. So I put Needle Fiber in because I was inspired by an OCG list I saw, because Needle Fiber, obviously together with Access Code, this is just a basic package. It's like normal summon a hand trap, make Fiber, summon a hand trap, make Unicorn, make Access Code, OTK. I guess this is the idea behind it, since Access Code together with Empen is exactly 8k. So yeah, this is Hulk is an option, and also the Nightmares because they're just generic removal and they get you to Access Code anyway. So yep, the extra deck actually does something. Now as for the other cards, we have already discussed most of them. I guess we could talk about the spell as well. The spell is not out. It's not going to be out for some time, but I would consider putting it in for sure because it searches your field spell. It searches a monster. You do need to banish but when they're banished and you normal summon, they get back to your hand anyway. So I guess it does feel costly if it gets negated and you don't have follow-up, but since, like I said before, they return themselves to your hand anyway, I think this card is, you know, more than worth running, so I'm looking forward to it actually dropping. Now, as you've all probably seen Ecclesia here, you can run Dogmatica with this, because if you go for like an extender or something, this does not eat your normal summon, so you can just normal Ecclesia and go for additional plays you might have with Nadir and everything else, going second, send an Entis, pop something, you know, try breaking boards. So Dogmatica could be run with this. I'm interested in this. I have not tested it though, so I didn't actually make a build with it, but it's here as an option. And then Book of Moon. So I would most likely switch out the shifters for Book of Moon or something like this, because essentially what the idea behind this is, if your normal summon gets disrupted by something like Veiler or Impermanence, you just flip it face down and it resolves, because you don't care about them being face down, since you're not gonna link or do anything with them besides tribute summoning over them. So this is the only theory, and overall Book of Moon is a good card. So I guess it just works. I guess it just makes sense. And I think only time will tell if this is something that will actually be played. But if you're able to dodge a Veiler or something and you can actually get your combo going, I think this is a well trade-off, you know, for playing a card that's nice but doesn't, you know, do that much, if that makes sense. And yeah, I think that's pretty much it. Like I said, I'm excited for Flanderies, but we will see what happens. And yeah, I guess that's it. All right, now that was it basically. I hope I covered everything. I hope I talked about things that you wanted to hear regarding the decks. I hope I showcased lists that you like, that you feel like work. I hope you test everything out and let me know how it works, and interact with me in the comment section like I always say. And if you find these videos entertaining, helpful, educational, whatever, consider liking, subbing. Check out Twitch also. I know I always say that, but I actually plan on streaming once I set everything up, get the channel going even more. So check it out, please. Go to the other video like I mentioned in the beginning, enter the giveaway for 500 subscribers. I want to thank you again for everything, you know, for subbing, and yeah, I'll see you in the next one. Peace.